All right, let's deepen our conversation tonight on the constitutional amendment as the President, International Law Association and the Senior Advocate of Nigeria, FIDELIS ODITAH, joins us from Lagos. Thank you so much for joining us on News Night. Good to see you. Well, let me begin with this quote. Quoting Ishe Sage, Senior Advocate of Nigeria like yourself and head of the Presidential Advisory Council Against Corruption. It says most of the bills passed do not address the fundamental problems plaguing Nigeria. And they pointed out that the lawmakers did not say anything. They did not even broach, the restructuring issue. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, the lawmakers, they say, did not address the issue of restructuring. Do you agree?
Yes, thank you, Amaka. I think most of the amendments are very cosmetic. The big elephant in the room is restructuring. How to make the Federation of Nigeria fairer and to reflect principles of federalism. In order to achieve that, the first amendment which they ought to have considered is Section 43 of the Constitution, which vests all the assets in Nigeria in the federal government of Nigeria. Without that section being amended, there is no real hope for our federation, for our federalism, because the effect of that is that all the resources are given to the federal government and the states are then left cap in hand going to Abuja to beg for monies to run the states. That is not how a federation should be run. And certainly that's not how our federalism was intended to run. If you look at the 1963 Constitution, you find that under that Constitution, the resources were vested in the states in which those resources were found. And they were then required to make a contribution to the center, to the federal government. And that is how a true federalism should work, fiscal federalism. It's not about moving some items, a few items from the exclusive legislative list to the concurrent list, such as airways and railways and correctional services. Those are mere tokenisms.
I don't seem to be impressed at all, and if I may ask you, it looks like we're not any closer to a people's constitution, which has been the true clamor of Nigerians. But really, some of the bills that we saw are making a comeback, such as the financial autonomy for state legislature and judiciary, and of course the local government. Separation of offices of the Ministry of Justice and the Attorney General of the Federation is something we also saw at the 8th Assembly. We saw it yesterday again. Are you optimistic that this time around it will be different, or you still don't think this was worth the while?
I think some of them have better chances of scaling through. A number of the governors are now finishing their second term, so they have no particular vested interest in these amendments. Unlike what happened in the 8th Assembly, where a number of these governors were adamant that they were not going to give autonomy to local governments, they were not going to give autonomy to state assemblies as well as state judiciary, which was what led to the Executive Order number 10, promulgated by Buhari, but rejected on the 12th of February by the Supreme Court. So I'm hopeful that with the selfish interests of the governors not so much at stake this time round, they might see some wisdom in allowing those amendments to go through. But at the same time, we have to feel very sorry for state assemblies whose remits these amendments fall into, but who have absolutely no independence, and they do as the governor directs them, whereas this is something which is for their own strengthening and for their own survival. Unfortunately, unless, as I've explained, the state governors are no longer interested in controlling the local government councils as well as controlling the funds belonging to the state assemblies and the judiciary, there isn't much hope.
All right, we'll have to say thank you very much, FIDELIS ODITAH, Queen's Counsel, for joining us on Newsnight tonight.